So let's just throw it out there. When you guys heard about today's topic, what were you guys hoping for? Were you hoping for a true business planning class, or were you thinking about seeing what other people are doing or setting goals for 2021? What do you guys want to talk about today?
Yeah, hi Bob. I was looking to hear what some other people were doing. I'm fairly new and planning it. I'm not doing a good job at it. So
good. Okay, so really a mastermind on activities, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Good. What else, guys? What are you hoping to get out of the call?
Maybe what kind of systems or processes teams are putting in place or agents are putting in place to streamline day-to-day operations.
Okay, got it. Cool. I'm taking notes here. You guys are talking too, so that's good. So we have some activities. We can talk about activities. Activities that we're doing. I can share. So I have some collateral too that we can share on this call that can help with some of the activities for sure, Mark. And systems process. We can talk about that all day with a lot of people on this call. And what else, guys?
Can we talk about holiday planning?
Ooh, holiday planning.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's going to be different this time around. I know that it's almost too late, but for last minute people like me.
No way. I think that we have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So good. So we have activities. And I was actually just thinking, Sam, I mean, you could, with where we are in the last quarter, October, November, December. So, I mean, it's Halloween, it's Thanksgiving, it's whatever, holiday, you have in December, right? Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it is. So yeah, you can really just, I think that's awesome.
Well, and I just think because they're going to be probably a lot less joyful.
They need the joy.
They need a little bit more oomph than in past years. And I think that efforts this year will speak at a higher volume than maybe in past years, because there's not going to be so much noise and, as there have been before. So
it's a great call. Yeah, really more impactful, right? Yeah, good. Okay. Good. So do you guys want to let's talk about activities? What are some of the things that people are doing right now that is that's really worked? What are some of the things that people have done that haven't worked? What are some of the things that you want to do, just haven't implemented yet? Throwing it out there. You know what? I could sit here and talk about activities all day as a lender. If you guys want a mortgage guy to talk about realtor activities, I can do it. I have, so I will go ahead and let's see if I can.
Wait.
Go ahead, Corey.
Yes. You want to talk about activities?
I knew the threat was going to work. Go ahead, Corey.
I did. I got really nervous. So just, we're putting a focus back on client facing stuff right now. I'm trying to figure out how to do like safe, socially distant, FaceTime type stuff. Just because, at this point, I think over the course of the last 8 months or so, people have just been getting bombarded with text messages and emails and probably mailers. So we've had a few events that have really gone well. We had a food drive last weekend where people could just show up. We did a thing for giving away school supplies to kids. We had a bunch of clients show up to that. We have an event in a couple of weeks that is basically going to be like a mobile pumpkin patch where we drive around and give pumpkins to kids and their families, and then have a contest for them to decorate the pumpkin, and we'll give them a gift card or something like that. But just client facing type stuff right now. And obviously staying on top of, our other daily activities, but just really trying to put a emphasis on, client facing FaceTime stuff with people, and less related to real estate and more just like taking care of people, community-based stuff, that not only is good for people, but obviously looks good. It makes us our group is definitely dedicated to helping and serving people, but the return on that is it makes us look like a group that's not just in it for transactions, which is exactly what we're going for. So, and the response has been huge. It's been awesome.
That's great, man. That's so tell me about the school drive. So what made you think of that, and how did you relate it back to business and community or in real estate? How did you blend the two?
Yeah, so the school drive, what we did is I went out and hit about 18 Walmarts and Targets and got a whole bunch of school supplies for kids. We spent probably in the neighborhood of $800 on school supplies. Obviously it's something very relevant to what's going on right now. Kids having to get back to school and, uncertainty surrounding school stuff. And, that's in people's brains. They're home, right? So a lot of stuff that we're doing has to do with home. And, we just said, what would be helpful? People are in hard times right now. Even though it's not a huge deal, let's go ahead and get them some school supplies. It's a reason for them to get out of the house. It's a quick hit. It was a really light lift, as Bob likes to say. And then basically we took some pictures. We sent pictures out to people. We sent thank you cards to everybody that came, and we blasted it out on social media and things like that. A couple new contacts from it, no business from it, but more of like a goodwill thing. And these are people who we work with, who have kids, who have families, who where they do or do not need the help. It's welcomed. Like, people need 2 sets of school supplies for a lot of kids at this point, and not everybody has the means to do it. So we had an ice cream truck that came, and anyone who came and got some school supplies, we gave them an ice cream, and we just set up in a park. We contacted the Braintree Parks and Rec. They let us do that, and it was really easy. A couple tables in a park, a few emails, some social media posts, and a ton of goodwill. And so, a lot of past clients, this wasn't like a new lead thing. This was more of a nurture for the people that we already knew. And there were a few new people that came in, but mostly it was for our sphere and just dialing into our sphere. Cause we know, sometimes we've talked about, like, people just forget about their sphere and they're just chasing new business. They're planting new seeds instead of watering the ones in their own garden. So we're just trying to water the ones in our garden right now.
I think that was pretty great too. You gave some of the people that you work with, or some of your clients and the people you invited to the event, the opportunity to help with the school drive too, right? If anybody wanted to donate something, they could. And
yeah.
Of course, we'll talk about the food drive in just a minute, but same thing happened with the food drive too, right?
Yeah, same thing. Did you say the school drive or the food drive that first? I went on school drive.
Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
Some of our business partners, we just put the word out and said, this is what we're doing. Come if you will. This is what we're trying to do. And I think, a few people, Bob was one of them, came down and said, yeah, we'd love to be involved in something like that. So the school drive went off great. And then the food drive, same deal. Like, again, kids home. A lot of kids would typically get a free or reduced lunch or a breakfast provided to them. And a lot of those kids are not going to school as frequent. And the parents' family can't afford to feed kids. My kids just stay home and all they do is eat. They're like little eating machines. So if that's happening with everyone else, people need help. And this is the time of year when people kind of forget about donating food. They wait until a couple weeks before Thanksgiving or a couple weeks before Christmas. So we just did a food drive, same deal. I mean, we put it out to people we work with. We had a few people contribute. Bob was one of them. And, we set up a truck in the parking lot of the office and a table, and people drove up, dropped off stuff. We took pictures. We were sending out thank you cards. And once again, we documented it. You definitely want to do a lot of this stuff, but there has to be some kind of return. So I put it all over social media, not because I'm looking for recognition or people to be like, oh, good job, but I want people to see what we're doing. I don't want it to be a secret. I'm doing it from a good place, but I want people to know about it as well. So yeah, that went over extremely well. And it was really easy, really easy.
That's awesome. That's great. So you were creating a great impression there. You were coming from contribution. And I think too, it's really important to mention that you gave your clients the opportunity to help, of course, during this as well. You're not just telling them to come by for some free school supplies or even come by for the, food if you need it. I know you drop the food off at the food pantry, is more of a food drive, but I think that people oftentimes are just looking for an opportunity to help. They want to help, they just don't know how. And I really think that you gave them, that opportunity too, Corey, which I think is just fantastic. Sometimes it just takes one person with the initiative to give other people the opportunity to help. And that's how great things really get done. So nice work there, man. That was great.
Yeah, thanks.
And really, I guess, when was the last time too? We always talk about calling our database, and there's really two hurdles with calling our database most often, I think. And one is, do they want to hear from me? Number one, and then the second thing is, what am I going to talk about? And when was the last time, Corey, you called your database, dialing for dollars, saying, who do you know looking to buy or sell? You call your database all the time, but really it's about, hey, come join us at the school drive. Come join us at the food drive. Come join us at our pumpkin festival. Come join us at our ice cream event. Those sorts of things. And oh yeah, by the way, we sell real estate too. It's the business comes as a byproduct.
Yeah, I mean, so what we found is if we let the business kind of speak for itself by doing a good job promoting it on social media, humble bragging a little bit about what we do. And then when we call people, we don't actually talk about it. We just check in or invite or say, how are you doing? Or, if we did see them do something on social media, oh, little Johnny won the prize at the school fair. That's fantastic for you and little Johnny. Just things like that. And then inevitably they will ask, how are things going? What's going on? How, you guys look so busy. Oh yeah, no, that's really, it's been good. We could always be busier, always keep us in mind. Oh yeah, for sure, man. I was just having a conversation the other day. It's just really natural, super organic. So, it took a long time to get to this point because I was a guy, as Bob knows, like I never called my database until about 3 years ago. I just didn't. I hammered expireds and FSBOs, which were great for a time, but sucked. Still sucks. So,
hey, what was your big hurdle, Corey? Because you were, if people on the call remember, you were a big, obviously a big FSBO expired, just cold call guy, and you loved it, and you were actually doing pretty well with it. And I remember the time I was actually, I remember when you vocalized the fact that you got to stop messing around with this and just tap more into your own sphere, But what was your big hurdle before you started making that call, or when you made that first call to your sphere, not to strangers? What was the big hurdle there? Do you remember?
Yeah, there were two things. Number one, I didn't really understand the value that I brought. I didn't realize that I was the professional, even if I had only been licensed for like a month. At that point, I had already received more training than everyone else in my database on what the real estate world looked like. And I didn't realize that. And number two, I didn't know what to say. I was very well scripted with FSBOs and expireds, but I didn't know how to have like casual conversations with people that led back to business without sounding grimy or salesy. I didn't want to do that. And I didn't mind sounding grimy and salesy to FSBOs and expireds because I didn't have that business anyway, but I didn't want to ruin relationships with people. So many people get hit up from, all the third parties marketing or whatever, MLM marketing people. Like, you get invited on a blast thing on Facebook to someone's Tupperware party, and then they're just asking you to buy like $425 worth of Tupperware that you're never going to use. I didn't want to be that guy. And so really I had to just come up with like value add things. I felt like inviting and asking people to come to stuff that I was going to be providing without any hassle to them was where it started for me. So when we really started focusing on events before we had the team, that's what I did. Like I just called and invited. And then as I started doing that, I just got more comfortable with having very casual conversations. If there was something that was relevant, like updating someone, hey, if you guys didn't know, like, the rates right now are at this, you should probably talk to somebody because I know that the rate you had was like a 4.7. You should look, it's 3.2 right now. You should just take a look and see what, that was an easy call. But calling people up and just being like, who do you know looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate? Please keep me in mind. That's an awful phone call. That's a horrendous phone call to people that you know. So that was my big hurdle. I didn't understand my value, and I don't think I was well scripted enough, which is weird because I felt like I was really scripted for FSBOs and expireds, but not my database.
And because these people are, personal, even if they're professional, if it's a professional partnership or relationship, them. And so even that makes it a little more difficult to ask for help. than it would be if you were just calling a stranger, right?
Yeah, I still don't like it, and I still feel like I don't confidently ask people for help. It's like, oh, if you think maybe kind of you would like to. And luckily I have some really good, partners who know me and just say, yeah, like whatever you need, we'll help you out. So yeah, it's still not comfortable, but I also realized if I didn't get comfortable being uncomfortable and making those calls, I was going to burn myself out of the business really fast, because you can only make so many years of expires and FSBO only calls. A man can only take so much rejection. I got a lot of it in high school, and then found one girl who liked me, and now I don't want any more rejection, so I just call my database.
Nice. Good. I got nothing on that, man. I got nothing. Actually. Yeah.
Fair
All right.
enough.
Listen, hey, I'm helping Mark move, so love you guys, mean it, but I figured I'd check in for a little bit. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
I'm going to listen, actually.
All right, cool. So, hey, Mark, I'll pick on you now. So obviously, I mean, that was not planned out, but Corey kind of came in and, 15 minutes of Corey there.
Stole the show.
Yeah.
Corey's show.
But gave us a lot of things to talk about. So, you were just talking about activities, Mark. Number one, I guess, what do you think about what it was, all the things that Corey just mentioned? Do you have any questions about it? And where, I guess even too, where do you think that you'll be getting some of your business from going into the third quarter or fourth quarter and into 2021?
Yeah, I think that was really perfect to hear. I also have a hard time calling people or just knowing what to talk about and not sounding like very scripted. So I'm not utilizing my sphere well enough. So it was kind of nice to hear that somebody was in that position at some point and, got through it. So I found that to be really good. I also like the service-driven approach, and not being a secret agent and what you're in some of that work. Like he said, you want to make sure it has a return. So, you got to tell people about that. So I found that really, really good to hear.
Beautiful. And how long have you been with this KW office, and how long have you been in real estate?
This was my first agency I've ever worked with. And it's probably about March, I think, February.
Nice. So you got in at a perfect time.
Yeah, it is actually, it's a good story to tell people. Like, it's literally right. I think it was my first week was like that March 21st, like that middle of March time when it was like, stay in the house. I'm like, yeah. Well, it's a good time to watch a lot of orientation videos and hear about the difference between before all of this and then after. So it's like you have that perspective of, I started right then. So I don't know. It's been fun. It's good.
I can just see it. You're like, yeah, you're talking to Alicia during the, one of your recruiting, interviews or whatever. And, you're like, I'm just worried about not being able to make any money in the first year in real estate. And Alicia's like, no, we have hundreds of open houses every weekend. Plenty of listings that you can do open houses at, as many as you want. So great. And then, then no more open houses in like overnight. So, well, hey, man, if you can get in now and you can continue moving forward now is the time to get in. Keep planting those seeds, and we will see a shift. KW's been talking about it for years. We're going to see a shift. And, just like Forrest Gump as a shrimp boat captain, that storm's going to come through, and there's going to be a lot of casualties, and you just can't be one of those casualties. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what, the MREA tells you to do, and you won't be a casualty. And on the other side of that market correction, you're going to come out on top. So it's just awesome. And being at a place like this too, being at a class like this right now is just so valuable. So welcome. I'm glad you're on the call.
Oh, thank you.
If I can chime in here.
Yes.
So October 1st, we're entering the fourth quarter of the year. And I would say take this opportunity to reset your goals for the end of the year, how you want to finish. And this is the start of how you would set up your business planning. There will be classes offered on business planning this month, either locally or regionally. So I would suggest you jump on that call. So just, to keep this short and sweet here, because I don't want to take up much time, reset your goals, how you want to finish this year. And part of that should be obviously reconnecting with your database, which is kind of the theme of what we're talking about, you know, the different strategies of how, which is basically comes back to reconnecting to your database. And then the last point that I would say is revisit your expenses again and trim them as much as you can at this point. Take this opportunity. So as far as the market goes, it's the only market we got, and things may change. But if you keep doing the activities that you set up, you don't have to worry about the market changing.
Right.
We're so lucky to live where we are too. I mean, of course, you have to work to get those leads, you know, in any market, but never mind, you know, in a changing market, obviously. But, you know, we're 20 minutes south of Boston, right? Worst case, you know, if you're someone that works the southernmost part of the KW Norwell offices sphere, you're still, you know, 45 minutes south of Boston. And we're always going to have people move, you know, buying and selling, moving in and out of our area. So we're really lucky. Combine that with, you know, a solid, you know, working system, working habits. You know, there's no failure here. Failure is not an option. If you want it, you can get it easily.
So you'll always have the option to get your unfair share if you work it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Mike, you know, if I could chime in too, despite your arriving just as the lockdown came upon us, you can look at that as an incredible opportunity. I sure do, because if you can do this now, you can do this anytime. And when the market shifts, everything will be in place for you to just increase, you know, you're in front of client appointments and your closings. And it is a numbers game. You know, I always found business planning a bit overwhelming until I realized it doesn't need to be, you just need to break it down into the smaller steps. And I realized for me, I then didn't think about the big picture. I just focused on the small steps. And for me, that was getting in front of 2 new clients a week, you know, 2 new face-to-face or on the phone, and secure an appointment with people who I hadn't met yet face-to-face the prior week. And then all of a sudden, after several weeks' time, you come to this place where you realize what your close ratio is. And you realize, okay, then, you know, I need X amount of appointments a week to reach my goal per month, which comes up with my yearly goal. So just break it down, keep it simple for now before even putting your plan together. If you focus on 2 new appointments per week, 2 appointments with people whom you didn't know the prior week, that's going to secure the business within, you know, a few weeks' time, then that's going to take you to an amazing time, you know, financially and transactionally. And again, if you're out there with buyers now and you're securing offers now and securing listings now, wow, more power to you. It's awesome. So just keep it up. Keep your spirits up. That's the most important thing right now, right?
That's what I was telling Teresa. I was like, you know, I don't know if I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but if you just keep doing what everybody's saying you're doing, and it's like, eventually it's going to click, you know? Following those initiatives everybody's saying. And
right. Know what the big picture is, break it down into the small tasks, and then just do the tasks. And Bob, I've heard you say this in the past, just do your job. Figure out what your job is every day and do your job. And then all that adds up to the result, and the results are going to be far greater than maybe you even planned for. So
That's
just
right.
do your job. Get in front of people. That's your job.
I think Bob just likes that because who said it? Bill Belichick.
Yeah, that's it.
I remembered his name. I'm so proud of me.
Yeah, just do your job, you know?
Do your job.
Sports.
Yeah, I think that's great. You know, Mark, and for everybody on the call, I just, you know, we had put together at the beginning of the, you know, COVID environment, we put together the top 100 socially responsible activities realtors can do to help grow their business. I just attached it with the, in the chat box on the call here. So if you guys want to see a copy of it, just open it right up. I'll share my screen right now with you guys. Some of the people on the call hopefully will, you know, find it helpful if I can find it. Bear with me for a moment. Might have to open it up, maximize it. We'll get there. There we go. So So we put this together. We had this laminated too. We dropped a lot of these off at your offices. Obviously, a lot of you guys haven't been in the office, recently. But let's see if I can do this here. All right, there we go. So we broke this up, and Mark, and everybody on the call, if you guys are just looking for one or two things, one or two activities to add to your, regular, client relations, retention, acquisition, this is it. We broke it up into a few categories. So database and prospecting. There's our first category there. So we came up with, 35 things that you can, socially responsible things that you can do to reach out and take care of your database. Tech, social media, Zoom, video. We have a category for that too. Education and training. If you've always wanted to be licensed in another state, do it now, right? Some of the best books the people on my team or I have read. Community involvement, just like Corey was talking about, the school drive, the food drive, man, those are just awesome, and a lot of your town boards are still meeting too. So get involved, volunteer. Everything that we do, we're so lucky because we're in sales. Everything we do can tie back to business. It's just incredible. And then finally, we wrapped it up with just don't forget about yourself, right? So print this out, keep this. If you're looking for some inspiration, for some ideas, it's all yours, guys. Don't hesitate. Feel free to use it, okay?
That's great, Bob. Thanks.
Yeah, you got it. Perfect. So let's see. Now, does anybody have any questions about those activities, about what it was that Al just talked about or Corey just talked about?
If I can just add one thing, we have to be careful, especially these days, about two things. Do not call list. They are cracking down. So be careful about, you can call your sphere, obviously they know you, but just be careful about calling strangers, and because we're already getting complaints, and they are cracking down. The second thing is we needed to, we're going to be rolling out fair housing class, because again, they're cracking down on that too. So as far as we're concerned, I mean, I don't think we really have an issue with that. I like to think we don't, but if you don't take the class, there are things that you could inadvertently say that could get you in trouble. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. And if someone took the fair housing class already, they say, oh yeah, Al, you should know better about this. But I did open house in Hingham, and on my house. So before we put it on, somebody from New York somehow they found out about it, neighbor, and they came up and looked at it. We showed it to them. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder who else from New York is coming up, because that would tell me something about trends, people moving from New York into the South Shore. So I had one of our agents help me out with the open house, and so someone came in and I said, hey, where you from? And then and they were from Boston. I thought that was interesting, migrating from the city, interesting. And then our agent said, Al, you shouldn't be saying that. That's a no-no, because that can be construed to something else. So we're going to be rolling out mandatory fair housing, just to educate everybody. And I don't want to get too far off topic, but these are two important things that if I didn't mention, it wouldn't be right, because these are happening October 1st.
In fact, Al, there was a court case about 5 years ago through Boston where the open house host asked that exact question, hey, where you're from, which I always ask because I want to find if we have some commonality. And that agent was fined heavily, and that brokerage was fined heavily. It may seem innocuous to you, but you've got to be really careful with your words.
Well, the fair housing class that's going to be coming up, we've taught it in the past, but now it needs to be mandatory that we all have to go through this. And so that's going to be rolled out this month, in October sometime. So, basically, they're just simple things just to keep in mind. And then you just can't worry about it. Just do the right thing.
Right. Hey, and I gotta think too that, and tell me if I'm wrong, Al, but in this market where we're getting multiple offers, and you may have some people that are frustrated on losing out on, when they're making really good offers too. I mean, we've had clients that are making, 2 offers a weekend for a month over asking, so they're not coming in $50,000 low. They're making good offers, but not getting it. So the frustration's there too. There's limited inventory. So this could even be more sensitive than it might be, in a typical real estate environment,
It's not just rentals, it's sales. And I'm telling you, they've told us they're out for blood. They're looking and they're going to make examples of people. So I don't want to scare everybody. Just take the class and don't worry about it. Because, there's just some subtle things that I want to keep the innocent out of trouble. I mean, you definitely don't want to discriminate, obviously. That should go without saying, but there were things in there that you could just innocently just, ask. And I want to keep us out of trouble there.
Right. Hey, Al, maybe this is a question for you here, or maybe Missy, our compliance queen on the call, but Bill has a question. He just asked about, he's still not clear on how to effectively not violate the do not call list. So we get a list of expireds or something like that, Bill. I'm sure that's what you're talking about, or FSBOs or whatever. How do I know that person's not on a do not call list? Is there a tool that your agents can use?
That's a great question, Bill and Bob. Thanks. I don't cold call myself, so I don't know where the list is. But you need to have the list if you're going to be making some calls, because those expireds or those neighbors around the list you just listed, they could be on the do not call list. So you just have to figure out a way to get it.
It does exist. There's got to be a way to get it. Pretty easy. But the thing is, you'll have the list. It's tedious because you got to check. You got to check if someone's on the do not call. So when in doubt, I was. If you asked me this question 10 years ago, I'd say call them anyways. Don't even worry about it. You'll get away with it. No one's getting in trouble. I don't hear of anybody. But now KW is saying the same thing right across the board. It's happening. So you got to be careful.
Weren't we at Gold a couple of years ago, and one of the vendors, maybe it was an auto dialer or something, but they scrubbed your list against the do not call list when you're calling?
I was just looking for that too, because there is something that you can take your list and enter it somewhere. And they did say that it scrubs against, so that it gets rid of any of the numbers that are on that list.
Or maybe the list you get is
I
scrubbed.
was just trying to remember where that was.
Just thinking back on multiple bids, and Al, to your point of just take the class and understand where you can make mistakes. One thing that I see routinely, and we should just all be aware of, is if we are representing sellers and buyer agents and their buyers are submitting letters to the homeowner for consideration, that's one of the most detrimental areas where you can really inadvertently cause yourself a really big problem. So, talk with your sellers ahead of time and ask them if they even want to see the letters. And if the letters are submitted and they don't want to see them, you have to figure out a way to not submit them. But if they do want to see them, you have to figure out a way to respond to all the parties who did not get the accepted offer. That it just had to do with, fact, figures, terms, qualifications, dates, all of that. So just be very, very careful in your response, even to the agent whose offer has been accepted. Don't make any mention of the seller really loved the letter and that's why we're going with you. That's a really huge area for liability. You just don't know what that agent might say. If anyone that agent knows, put a bid on the property too. So you just try to stay away from the letters. I know they have a really big impact often for the buyer and the seller, but just try to stay away from them. Have your sellers make logical decisions.
That's a good point, Melissa, because I got one of the best letters I'd ever seen on my house. And if I think about, to your point, it could be discriminatory that I chose them. I chose them because they were the highest bid.
Cool. Well, that's good. That's good. And how many times does a homeowner say to you, especially, maybe a long-term homeowner, or if you're selling a family property where people have passed away, we'd really love to sell it to, fill in the blank. And 9 times out of 10, it's a young family because it's near the school and they're going to be able to walk. And there's so many other families in the neighborhood. Just stay away from that. Stay away from it. And let them know at that point that you as a realtor can't initiate any decisions. They have to make the decisions themselves. And if they do have, an emotional choice, if they do make that emotional choice, just don't mention it to anyone else. Just keep it to yourself.
So just to recap, take the fair housing class when we offer it this month. And, you got to get, do not call list. And again, the do not call list 6 months ago might be a little different today. So you want to you want to make sure your list is updated and fresh.
That's it.
So we can move on with this.
Thank you very much. Now, Sam had brought up earlier holidays, and just as soon as she brought it up, I thought Halloween's coming up, Thanksgiving's coming up, Christmas, Hanukkah, some other holidays are coming up, New Year's. So really, if you're looking for reasons to reach out to your database, and you're not comfortable doing care calls through COVID, how's school going, that sort of thing, man, we've got a lot of material to work with as far as the holidays go. So does anybody have a Halloween themed or an October themed event coming up?
Justin's listening on mute, but remember, Justin, we talked about that whole pumpkin thing.
I have one.
That's right.
I'm back. I have one.
Bring it.
So we're going to do a mobile pumpkin patch. So we're going to get a couple pallets of pumpkins. I'm going to rent a trailer from U-Haul, one of the big ones, the open trailer. We're going to dress that thing up like a parade float, and I'm going to put Mark in overalls and a flannel and a straw hat. We're going to put a speaker out there, and we're just going to roll up to clients' houses with music playing, him dancing, and handing pumpkins to our clients. And then we're going to have a contest, either pumpkin carving or just pumpkin decoration contest, where we'll have everyone submit it with a certain hashtag online that we can check it all out, and then we'll award some prize to someone for doing that. So we're going to have everyone kind of register for it so we know where we're going, but we're literally going to take like 2 or 3 days to just go drop off pumpkins to people. Drive around, say hello, say hi, get real silly, make it a big event, hope people take some pictures and post about it and all that sort of stuff, and just not take ourselves too seriously and give out some freaking pumpkins.
Dude, how lucky are we? Like this, we call this work, like my brother right now, my brother's in construction. He's been in HVAC for 20 years, right? So right now he's in a building somewhere on a roof of a building with a huge, whatever the duct work over his head and all this stuff. And like, we can deliver pumpkins and get paid for it. We can make phone calls and get paid for it, or, raise money. And at the end of the day, basically raise a, food drive and get paid for it. It's like, pinch me. I just don't know how this is real.
I think the beauty of this business is like, it doesn't need to be done a certain way. Like, you just have to tailor to who you are. Like, I find myself as a pretty goofy guy. Like, I like to do things that are fun. I couldn't do what your brother does, and I couldn't do it. Like, that's just not me. And I can't do the business the way that Rich Landon does his business, or, anybody else. I have to do like what's true to me. And to me, I think it would be hilarious if someone pulled up in front of my house, dancing in a straw hat, chucking pumpkins to kids. So I'm just going to do that. And hopefully everyone finds it as funny as I do. And if not, whatever.
If you don't pull up to my house, I'm going to be pissed.
I'm definitely pulling up to everybody's house that I know, just because if I have this trailer for 3 days and like 400 pumpkins, then everybody's getting one.
Yeah. You're like Oprah.
Awesome.
You get a pumpkin.
You get a pumpkin. You get a pumpkin. Yep.
I love
it. All right, back to moving. Love you guys.
Nice work. Nice work. All right, so there's our pumpkin. I know Justin was talking about pumpkins too, and maybe walking up to somebody's house to drop the pumpkin off on their front step, and and writing on it something along the lines of, Halloween is scary, real estate doesn't have to be, something like that. It's that impression, right? Take a selfie of yourself with a pumpkin on someone's front steps if they're not home and text it to them. Let them know that you were there. It's just one more touch point, and it has nothing to do with, hey, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell, right? That sort of stuff that, people will hang up on us for. What else? Anybody else have anything going on Halloween? Or maybe you're just a big fan of Christopher Columbus and you want to have the biggest, best, Columbus Day bash in real estate history. What else do you have going on?
That's great. Well, I don't have anything for October for Halloween, but Bob, maybe you can talk a bit about your Christmas ornament campaign that you guys do every year. I followed your suggestion 2 years ago at Christmas with that, and the response was incredible. People appreciate that so much. So maybe you could share that with us.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And we're actually putting it together now for this year, but for the last maybe 5 or so years, right around now, we order our first Christmas ornaments that does have our team logo on it, and we send them to everyone that did that bought a home with us this year. So we don't send them out to our refinance people, but we do send them out to the people that bought with us this year. So I just think it's a really nice touch point this time of the year because it's unexpected, and for most of the vast majority of the people that are getting the holiday ornament, they're getting it after we've closed the transaction, So people that closed in January, February, March, April, May, a few months after they close with us, they're getting this, really unsolicited, unexpected, gift in the mail, letting them know that we are thinking of them, and it's an ornament that they'll keep. It'll be, our first holiday, our first Christmas, 2020, and then on the back side of it, you'll have our, Frosted Team logo. So it's really inexpensive. And it's just something that continually gets me mileage without question. People get it, they take a picture of it, they'll post it on Facebook thanking us and tagging us, and then the world sees it. All for about, at most with postage, $10 a head. Would you say that's about right, Miss?
Yeah.
At most.
Yep.
The box, the ornament, the tissue paper, whatever you have to stuff in the box so that it doesn't break. At most $10 per. And people really, really do like that. And I know that it worked really well for you. The ornaments that you got last year, Miss, were way better, were way nicer than the ones that I ordered last year. So I'm going to have to take your recommendation for ornaments this year.
Happy to share it. Though I didn't send out 300. I sent out like 75.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right. Yeah.
There's also nice ones on Etsy too. If there's anyone who's looking, who has less than 300, send out. Yeah,
that's really nice. Really good. I think you're right about that, Missy. That's great.
Especially this year too. I think it'll just have such an impact that your clients and your referral sources know that you're thinking about them.
Yeah. With Thanksgiving coming up, you could do pumpkins again if you want to. You could do pies if you want to. You could also just, especially for your top clients, just reach out to them and let them know how grateful you are for them, right? It's Thanksgiving. It's that time of the year. And this year, especially, really just heartfelt gratitude, messages, I think will go a long way this year. And, they do anywhere, especially when it's anytime, especially when it's unsolicited and you're really just coming from contribution and just letting someone know how much they mean to you. I think it's just a great opportunity to do that. So between, pumpkins or something having to do with, scary ghosts, scary realtors around Halloween, through gratitude, or more pumpkins and pies in Thanksgiving to the holidays, man, we have a lot of material to work with. Mm-hmm. Great idea, Sammy. Anybody else have any holiday themed things we want to talk about? So we can go into, really systems at this point too. Has anybody, what are some of the things that in COVID we're doing now that you wouldn't have guessed we would have been doing regularly in February of 2020?
This.
Yeah, Zoom's one of them, right? And so many people are comfortable with it now. Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the systems that we're doing that either are working really well for us in COVID or out of COVID, or some of the systems that you're doing, some of the tools that you're using because of COVID that you never thought you would have earlier this year?
Hey, Bob, I could chime in on that. I apologize. I've been kind of in and out of this call, but I did hear Corey, and I thought really good stuff, Corey. But the R&L Home team is, we just hired viral marketing, and one of our intentions is to really focus on our database. And, you know, we have a goal every day of getting one appointment every day, 5 days a week. So 20 appointments a month. And that it doesn't matter who we call, expired, circle, database, cold, whatever, as long as we can get an appointment. But we are focusing a lot on our database starting in October. And we have a 1-year commitment with viral marketing. What this is, they put together professional videos. It's a video vlog, a video blog that's sent out to every email address that they can scrub and clean from our social media and database twice a month. And it includes a few other touches. So we're going all in on our database, all in on command, and you know, some of the activities that we're using to do that is, you know, we're leveraging with transaction coordinators and client care coordinator so that me and Lisa can literally just focus on our phone calls every day. Because we know if we do that, everything else should fall into place. You know, all these activities are great, but it's really just about having powerful conversations and, you know, making them feel that we are their trusted advisors. And I love what Corey said, coming at them from a different angle, you know, on a personal level, and real estate becomes a byproduct of that. So we've already seen some modest success from that. A lot of past clients are calling us because we did a heavy amount of care calls in March and April and May, and we've reaped the benefits of that. So Mark DeFazio, you got in at the best time ever, not the worst. And we're happy to have you on board. I think if you just focus your activities every day should be to make one appointment. Having conversations is great, but we don't have anything unless we have an appointment, right? So the appointment is either with a buyer or a potential buyer or a potential seller. So I think if we all focused on that, and we're doing this because we've come to realize that looking back 3 years in our transaction history, consistently 70% of our business has always come from our database. So why spend most of our time chasing expireds and FSBOs and cold calling when the database is right there, you know, feeding us basically? So we're really going to ramp that up, and we'll report in, you know, every month and see how it goes. But we're pretty excited. If you're not familiar with viral marketing, just Google them. Go on YouTube actually, and you'll see some amazing videos that they professionally edit. They brand it. They put music in there, and it's really high quality videos that are going to be sent out on a very consistent basis. We thought we could do that on our own without hiring somebody, but we're not doing it. So it's time to pull the trigger and get some leverage here.
Well, you can do it, Rick. You just can't do it consistently. And
yeah, that's exactly right.
Right. And then how much time are you and Lisa going to spend if you're doing it yourself, you know, talking about, should we do the blue one or the red one? No, I really think they'd like the red one. Are you sure they don't want the yellow one? Like, come on,
yeah.
Look at all the time we just spent.
Right.
You know,
they give us the content, although we can provide our own, but they give us content to lean on. They also give us a coach, a half-hour call weekly, specifically regarding our vlog campaign. So we're super excited about that. We have a meeting today at noon to kind of launch it out. So that's what we're doing on our team, is again just focusing. Our activities are going to be focused around calling our database, getting back into relationship with them. I'm going through my database now, looking at, I don't even know half of these people. So we got some work to do.
Good. Nice work. Good job. What else we have going on? What other parts of our systems are we tightening up? Are we adding? Are we taking away? I will, you know, so if we don't have any other system type things to go over, I'll share with you guys a couple of forms that that my coaching company, the Core Training, has us do every year as part of the Core. Just as for the people that are on the call, the Core Training only trains high producing realtors and lenders. And the coaches that they have in the Core are producing realtors or producing lenders first. So one document that I want to share with you guys, when we're putting together our business plan, we have to know really two things: where we are now and where we want to be, right? And that could be where we want to be by the end of the year, by the end of the month, by the end of the week, by the end of the day, whatever your goal is, right? It doesn't matter. But we first have to talk about where we are now. And so this is a wheel of life exercise that my coaches have us do. In these categories, we're going to rank ourselves, right? Real quick. Money. Describe your money situation really quick in this life box, and then grade yourself 1 to 10. Now, you only give yourself a 10 if you, without question, have absolutely hit all of your financial goals, or you're like some oil sultan out in you know, the Middle East somewhere, right? Like that sort of thing. All right. So I would probably say for most people on the call, you can only give yourself a 10 in money if you already have like a 150-foot yacht, okay? If you already have a 150-foot yacht and own it outright, go ahead and give yourself a 10, all right? Otherwise, you know, be a little more modest than that. Same thing with work, self, there's always room for improvement, right? And then what you'll do, and I can do this with you guys, we can do it together. If anybody in the call would find this interesting, I'm happy to do it with you. Then you go to the next page here, and you're giving yourself a 1 through 10 on that. Then this is the wheel. So really what we want is a really big, well-rounded life in all areas. But that's not necessarily how our wheel will look after we do the first page, the exercise in the first page. So maybe in spirituality, I might have given myself a 6, right? So what I'm going to do is mute Rick, and then I'm going to go back to the screen, and I'm going to start here in the hub, and I'm going to count out 6 spokes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna make a tick mark there. I'll do the same for money. If I give myself a 3 in money, I'll make a tick mark there. Work, I give myself a 6 as well, blah, blah, blah. I go through the whole thing. And then you just connect the dots. And what you'll find is a real visual you know, example of where you're you know, representing your life. And you'll see the areas that you really need some improvement on, and some areas that we all, you know, we all need improvement on, but what we can really focus on, right? So if I gave myself a 2 in family, but a 10 in work, you know, you can't have the best of both worlds, right? And eventually this is going to catch up with us, right? I've got to spend a little more time here, and maybe this one's going to come down, but I really got to work on that. I haven't spoken to some of my best friends or hung out with them in a while. I've really got to work on that. Man, I had biscuits and gravy this morning along with, you know, a bacon omelet and an extra side of home fries. I'm going to work on myself maybe a little bit, right? These are all things that we can do. And then finally, after that, you go to the last page. Now, where are you going to be by the end of the year or the quarter, whatever your goal setting toward? I think this is something that we can all do. I think we can all do it with our family. I think we can all do it with our friends. I think we can all do it with our, you know, sphere too. How about leading a business planning class or a goal setting class in the Q4 of 2020 for your clients, right? You can go through the same exact thing. I stole this from the Core Training. You guys can steal it from me. I have a lunch and learn already put together for it, and I'll share it with you guys. It doesn't have to be just real estate directed or mortgage directed. So that's
yeah, we've seen this in Bold. They've had this wheel, and yeah. It is a pretty good concept. And I'll tell you, nobody has a round wheel.
No. If the wheels in our car looked like that, it'd be
right.
A much tougher time to get to listings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does show you gaps. It's a really good exercise to go through. Pretty revealing.
Really wrap it up too, guys. I just wanted to share with you, if I can get it here, one other document that I got from the One Thing. By the way, if you're working with Keller Williams and you haven't read the MREA or the One Thing, do it. You know, and that's a mortgage guy telling you that. They truly are. They're both fantastic books. Got this from the One Thing I'll share with you guys. Goal setting to the now. You so really you've got to know where you want to be and then work your way backwards towards that. I think, maybe like Missy had mentioned earlier today, once you have that small goal, like I want to set 2 meetings a week, I think you had said, Miss, eventually you're going to know how many calls you have to make in order to secure your 2 meetings, right? And eventually you're going to know how many meetings you have to in order to turn X amount into business, and X amount of business you have to turn it into closings. So this I got from the one thing. I would really print it out now. You have your someday goal, break that down into a 5-year goal, a 1-year goal, a monthly goal, a weekly goal, and a daily goal, and a right now goal. I think that's so important. Know what your one thing is, and then break it down to the right now, because how many times do we find ourselves, myself, wasting time, doing something in the middle of the day, prime prospecting time, or whatever, time it is in the middle of the day, but I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing to reach my goals. I'm staying busy. I'm really busy. I might even be putting out a fire, but is that really me working toward, my goal, right? So feel free to take this, guys, and read the one thing if you haven't already. It's so, so good.
So if I can make a suggestion there on this is really good if you can do it. But if you don't really know what your someday goal is, don't feel like you can't even do this. Yeah, break it down to like maybe start with a goal for the year, goal for the end of the year, some sort of a goal, at least to get something. And that's what I had mentioned earlier, was to reset your goal for the end of the year. That might, if you can't think too big, at least go narrow and start there. Just get something on there. Because I know too many people get frustrated and can't finish this because they don't know what their someday goal is.
Right.
Yeah. And if you're trying to build a new habit too, there's nothing wrong with just keeping it at the right now goal, the daily goal, right? I mean, we have people who, recovering drug addicts or alcoholics, and one day at a time, right? They might have been sober for 50 years, but they're the first ones that are going to tell you it's still one day at a time. And that's the same thing with real estate. It's the same thing with sales. If you don't show up to the office on time, or if you don't start making your calls on a day where the night before, when you had promised yourself you would start making those calls, Al Stiles isn't walking through that door. He's not calling you to say, hey, how come you're not making your calls? It's 9:05. You said you'd start making those calls at 9 o'clock. That's not happening, right? So just one day at a time, especially at the beginning when we're trying to implement these new habits to get to whatever it is. Like Al said, if not a someday goal, your 5-year goal. If not your 5-year goal, your 1-year goal. If not your 1-year goal, your quarterly goal, right? That's all.
Yeah, to that point though, I would say at least try and do a monthly goal. I know when I first got in the business, I did it. I was focused more on my monthly goal, and then I was able to bring it down up to the daily goal, which was making contacts for me. I would encourage you not to just focus on the daily, because then you don't have any compass. At least go to a month or the end of or 3 months out. If you can't go any bigger than that, and especially in this market and these times, I would think about 3-month goals more so than, because we're in uncertain times right now. How really can you? It's a little bit harder to predict what you want to do in 6 months. I mean, we started out with goals at the beginning of the year, and they quickly changed when the pandemic hit. But you got to have some sort of a perspective of where you're going. You can't just say, I'm just gonna work as hard as I can every day and do these tasks. I know it's going to work. That generally is what most people try and do, and they don't get anywhere.
Yep. Good. Well, guys, it's 10 o'clock. Does anyone have anything they would like to add? All right, guys, thank you very much for being on the call. Make sure if there is a topic you want to talk about, please let Alicia know, let Lindsay know, let me know, and that'll be the topic for next week's call. You never know, but most likely it would be. But it was an awesome call. Thank you guys very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, see you later, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.